Sometimes you just gotta say peace out to your hometown, to your home country, and just be like, I'm out of here. I'm going somewhere else. I'll see y'all later. And that's pretty much what I did. And today I'm gonna tell you about it.
This is a certified hood classic.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sadia, aka Sadia, and today's video is a little bit different. Most of my videos have been vlogs, travel vlogs, but right now I'm at home. But I just wanted to film a video about my experiences living abroad alone. For those of you who don't know, I lived in London for about 1.5 years for a master's program, and then during my undergrad I was also in London studying abroad. It was a really amazing experience, but it did have some struggles, so I just wanted to make this video for anyone who is considering moving abroad to study, to work, to live, whatever the case may be. So let's just jump right into it. Let's rewind back about 5 years ago. I was a junior at Columbia University in New York. For those of you who aren't familiar with the school, it is a very academically intense environment. I really had no time to do anything except study, and by my third year, junior year, I was completely burnt out. I was just at a weird time in my life where I just felt like college wasn't even seeming like the right choice for me anymore. Even though I was already in my third year, I was talking to some of my friends like, you know what, I really feel like I want to drop out.
Oh my God!
I was really at my wit's end. So I was like, okay, what can I do to get myself out of this funk, to get myself out of this competitive, toxic environment and into a new space? And this was in the fall of my junior year, as I said. So I was like, okay, what can I do right now to make this better? Because I cannot do this for another semester. I was like, you know what, how about study abroad? And at that point I hadn't taken a language at Columbia at all, so my options were pretty limited to any country where English was the spoken language. And eventually I picked the UK just because it felt more manageable for me. I'm like, okay, London, I'll do London, I can do the UK. I was like, you know, the culture seems pretty similar. Let me just start applying to schools over there and just see what happens. So that's basically what I did. I applied to Queen Mary University of London as a study abroad student because that was the only school that fit my GPA requirement, and that was pretty much it. That was my only real criteria. I'm like, okay, cool, they speak English, it looks like a pretty decent school, although I knew nothing about it. I didn't know anything about the neighborhood, nothing at all. I was like, all right, bet, I'm gonna just make this move. They accepted me and I made my way to London. I lived in London for 4 months, fell in love. Even though the weather was crappy, even though the food wasn't all that great, it was just something about it, and I'm still not even sure to this day why I feel so strongly about London. But 4 years ago I was just like, you know what, this is my place, I'm gonna stay here as long as I can. So I stayed for the spring semester, so I was there from January to May, and I came back to the States. And once I came back for my senior year, I was like, you know, I need to do whatever it takes to be able to move back to London and live there full time. After I graduated from college, I knew I would want to go to a graduate school program. So I studied urban studies as an undergrad, and then I went to graduate school for urban planning. I only applied to schools outside of America because at that point it was also when Donald Trump became president, and I was like, I'm not trying to be here for this. Like, I'm out.
Ready to get the ASAP.
I applied to London School of Economics, which is where I ultimately ended up going. LSE made it super easy because they provided me with a full tuition scholarship, so I didn't have to pay for my education, which was a major blessing. Once I realized that I was getting that scholarship, it just made everything really easy. I started making arrangements to move back abroad. So I started looking, or just doing some preliminary searches for housing. I had to get my visa stuff taken care of, and basically pack up my whole entire life into 4 or 5 suitcases and head back across the Atlantic to begin my life in the UK. So that is what I did. Although I was definitely looking forward to being back in London because I had such a great experience the first time, there were parts of it that were difficult. Like leaving my family, I'm not gonna lie, that was hard. Oh my God. If you're considering moving abroad to another country that you're maybe not super familiar with, definitely do as much research as you can on the front end. So you go in feeling prepared, knowing how to get accustomed to the culture of whatever place you're going to. Don't just assume that just because you do things a certain way in America, that is the only correct way, or that is how everyone does it everywhere else, because that's definitely not the case. The first time I went to London, I definitely overestimated the amount of similarities between America and the UK. I was thinking, you know, we speak the same language. What issues can you really have?
Bruh.
Okay, we may speak the same language, but the way that people speak, and even if we're using the same words, they could have an entirely different meaning.
Big man thing.
For example, here in America, we call what you wear on your legs pants, jeans, pretty much, right? In the UK, pants means underwear. So if I'm talking about, oh, I'm about to go buy a new pair of pants, I'll be like, pants? Like, why are you telling me about your underwear? People will be looking at me crazy, and I'm like, oh, yikes. So yeah, there were definitely a couple of cultural differences that I had to wrap my head around. Like, I didn't realize it would be as urban as it was, you know what I'm saying? I was expecting some super like posh tea and crumpets, scones, and all those things. Like, that was my only real perception of London. And then when I got there, I'm like, yo, okay, like these people are way different than I thought they would be. But for me, it was good. If you're coming to the UK or to whatever country you're moving to as a student, try to do things outside of campus as well, because that's really how you get to know the local community. But for me, like, I knew it would be really important and really valuable for me to connect with the Muslim community in the UK. So like, one of the first events I went to was like Black and Muslim in Britain, and it was this really dope screening of a documentary that had just been made, just all about the Black Muslim experience in Britain. So yeah, I would definitely suggest trying to, you know, get involved in the community as quickly as possible, just so you can start to like integrate yourself, but you know, do it based around things that you're passionate about. Another tip I have for you is explore as much as possible. I would encourage you as often as you can to do things outside of your routine. Do things to spice up your life a little bit. I think I had class Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Tuesday and Wednesday, I didn't have class. So I would use one of those days to study, and the other day I would use it to explore some area in London that was different from my neighborhood. And my goal was to hit like every neighborhood or every borough in London within the year. Even now, like, I'll talk to people who are from London and I'll be like, oh yeah, I was in Hackney on this day, or I was in Stoke Newington, or I was here, and they're like, how do you even know these places? I'm like, I was around, like I was everywhere. That to me was one of the best parts, you know, just getting to see all these different areas outside of like the touristy London. Dating. This topic is not even worth really being discussed. When I first was preparing to move to the UK, I was like, maybe I'll meet, you know, that guy. And then also, because there's a lot of Muslims in the UK, I'm like, okay, bet. Like, I'm gonna meet my Muslim king, you know, he's over there in the UK, got the nice little accent, all those things. That's what I was thinking before I went. But once my schoolwork started, I'm like, I don't really have time for casual dating. So moving to a new city alone can be super exciting, amazing, fulfilling. You get to meet new people, have new experiences. But when you're by yourself, you have to also be super vigilant, because if you're in a new place with no family, no super close friends, you basically have to have your own back. London for me didn't feel dangerous, but I think as a young Muslim person who's traveling by myself, and some days I would have to travel at night, it was just really important for me to be super cautious, not to the point where I looked paranoid, but just always aware of my surroundings. Like, if you're traveling by yourself at night especially, don't have your headphones in, looking down at your phone, not paying attention to what's going on around you, because you could wind up in a sticky situation. And when you first meet people, be a little bit cautious. Don't reveal too much about yourself right away. I made this mistake myself. I was going to join this Arabic class, and the guy, the coordinator of the class, he knew that I was clearly not from London based on my accent, and he started asking me questions. He was like, oh, are you here by yourself, blah blah blah, just questions that felt weirdly personal. And at first, you know, I want to be friendly, I'm sharing parts of my life, but then I'm like, wait a second, this is starting to feel a little uncomfortable. And some people, like when they know that you're alone, they will see you as vulnerable, and they will try to take advantage of that weakness. Like, oh, look at this young Miskeen Muslim woman, she's out here by herself. Nah, homie, like, I'm not the one. Don't tell everyone like, oh yeah, I live here by myself, I don't know anybody, you know what I'm saying? Because they may try to take advantage of that. Moving abroad alone is definitely not for everyone. You have to be willing to be independent. You have to be comfortable with your own company, because when you first move to a place, you're not really going to know people. So for those first few weeks, you may just have to hang out by yourself until you really find your tribe. I think if you do, you know, take that opportunity to move abroad or to move somewhere by yourself, there's so much that can be gained from that experience. It just helped me to realize how capable I am of handling myself, handling my business without somebody telling me, you know, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, blah, blah, blah. It was really dope at the end to be like, wow, you know, I made it. I lived here for a full year, my own apartment, and I survived. You know, so yeah, this is just like a brief overview of my experience in London from the non-academic aspect. If you would like to see a video about my time at the LSE, what I studied, how I found it, all those things, I can do a video on that as well. Just let me know in the comments. If you like this video, like, leave me a comment, and subscribe so you'll know when I upload my next video.